I want to thank you all for being here, wherever here might be for you. For myself and my team, we're based here in Seattle, Washington. And like many of you, we're working in some very new ways. And we're facing the dawning reality that the world has forever changed in terms of how we build and connect together. And really, it's that change that's bringing us to this summit today, to the Converge Summit. And why Converge? Well, because our industry is at the convergence of many powerful forces: technological change, workforce change, regulatory change, and you throw in a pandemic for good measure. And yet, despite all of that change, there are some things that just have to stay the same. We're still going to rely on connections and relationships to make decisions. And we still need to rely on trusted partnerships to have the confidence to try something new. Now, here at Unearth, we don't harbor any illusions that this summit is going to be a replacement for traditional in-person events. I mean, how could we possibly recreate the dynamic of those in hallway, between session, over a drink moments that are really so vital for a group coming together? That said, we believe that there's been a vacuum left by the cancellation of events. And we hope that this summit serves as a welcome connection point for industry, and we will try to inspire all of you to start to think bigger and to get excited about the bright future ahead. And it's really that positive thinking and future forward thinking that was the basis of when my company came together years ago. Unearth is a software company with a singular mission: to provide the most innovative platform for managing people, tasks, and assets anywhere at any time. My co-founders and I founded the company on a simple realization that for the built world industries like utilities or construction or telecommunications or so many others, there exist real gaps between what technology is available and the solutions that are needed both in the field and in the office. If anything, we held a twofold belief: that your data should be free to go anywhere, whether that's into the field or to other software systems, and that your software should be flexible. It should meet you where you work and how you operate, as opposed to you bending to the software. From our perspective, industry was crying out for another convergence, and we aim to help deliver a solution to fill the void. And we're not alone. It takes a whole host of solutions to help transform how work is done across industry. We work with many technology companies and products, and among those we're most proud to partner with is also our exclusive sponsor for this event. We owe Trimble our thanks for stepping up to make this event a reality. Like Unearth, Trimble's technology helps to create a digital window into an analog world. They really are the ideal partner to help us usher in this new era. We're honored to consider Trimble a partner to our business, including sharing an aligned vision on how we make a real difference in your industry. Simply put, there's something that Unearth and Trimble both deeply understand, and it's that we serve you. And honestly, that's a realization that has only come into sharper relief in this past year. It's clear how much our world relies on all of you, your teams, and your efforts. You know, we recognize that for many people in the audience, always working from home just isn't an option. Your teams strap on boots, gather gear, you head into the world day in and day out because the work goes on. Our team and the public rely on your efforts, and for that we thank you. And speaking of our audience, you might be curious who's joining today and what brought them here, so let's take a peek. We sent out a survey before this event trying to get a better idea of who's here and what was driving their reason to attend. And this is what we found. First of all, we're thrilled to see 45% strongly agree that organizations prioritize digital transformation. And I have to say, there was probably a collective sigh of relief here at Unearth when we saw that at least no one said they disagreed that digital transformation is a priority. Now, when it comes to remote work and working from home, these figures maybe don't surprise any of us. I mean, over 80% are working from home today. That said, hearing that nearly half of our attendees don't work in the same city as their office, that was reinforcing for us. It reinforces the need to embrace the future of work, and that also means embracing digital transformation. And this might have been the most important message from our audience, which is what was most interesting to you all. Over 50% interested in digital transformation. That's great. Clearly 70% or more interested in utility industry trends, and we hear you. Now, from our perspective, digital transformation is a key utility trend, but rest assured, you'll be hearing from plenty of experts at our discussions all throughout the summit on the forces and trends affecting the utility sector. Now, regardless of your role or the type of company you work for or the sector you're in, we're all facing the same reality, the same tipping point. It was this inflection point that my co-founders and I saw related to serving the built world, that now was the time for real technological change in industry. But why now? Well, it's because technology firms are finally able to step out of the office and help fill the gap to the field. And there are factors driving this shift. And really, it's things we've all talked about for a long time and are now pretty commonplace. Mobile devices, we're talking smartphones and tablets, cloud computing, and really just having that supercomputer that scales infinitely up in the internet. And then the power of big data and all of the insights and automation and prediction that that can provide. And the truth is, at this point, we're kind of blowing right past this tipping point. We've all seen the photos, and if we rewind the clock, we've heard the stories about how the first computers were quite literally the size of a room. And connectivity and sharing information between systems, well, that was just a fantasy in someone's mind's eye. But today, each of us have far more computing power, features, and connectivity sitting right in our pocket with our smartphone, much less at our desk. And the convergence of these technological trends is truly transforming the world around us. If you think about sectors like banking or aerospace or software, they were the first environments to go digital. But now all offices have made that switch. Desktops and laptops and high-speed internet, they're all ubiquitous, as long as we're talking about a climate-controlled environment. You step away from the office and things have looked different, but even that's changing. Today we have cameras and sensors and mobile devices in every hand. We have digital data streaming across the globe, not just in the office, but everywhere. And as a result, the world's information is now digital, or it's about to be. And yet we still see pockets of a bygone era. How many of us here still do so much of their work with paper and spreadsheets, especially in the built world industries? Now, I don't think I'll get much argument around paper, but many of you may be saying, hey, spreadsheets are digital. And that's true, but just barely. When you're talking about spreadsheets, you're really just scratching the surface of what's possible. And that can't be the destination. There's so much capability and goodness left unattained if we stop at spreadsheets. And beyond spreadsheets, I can't tell you how many offices I've walked into only to face the wall of paper, maps and Post-it notes. If you haven't seen something like this in an office near you, then I actually wonder if we're in the same industry. Now, the truth is, my team and I have a huge amount of respect for what you and your teams have accomplished with analog tools. You filled in the gap left by the lack of innovation with whatever you could, because as I said, the work goes on. But times are changing, and we're here to inspire you all to think about new and better ways. And we also recognize that lacking the right tools is incredibly frustrating, especially when you look around and see that the evidence of innovation is all around us. Digital transformation is literally everywhere, and it enables significant benefits. And what's also interesting is there's been this logical sequence to get us to where we are today. Each step led to the next. Let's start with connectivity. In today's world, connectivity and being connected is ubiquitous, or nearly so, across all geographies. And that kind of connectivity accelerates decision making. Now, there's a positive in that we're gathering and sharing lots of information. The downside is we're actually kind of creating some information overload. Enter new compute scenarios. We used to just rely on general purpose processors, but increasingly we're seeing specialized chips in processing, including things like quantum computing, just to bring raw computing power to handle all of this data. And the combination of all that digital data and all that computing power is really giving us the rise of artificial intelligence through things like machine learning. And machine learning and other techniques, they're actually kind of decades old. It's just that we didn't have all of the digital data to train the AI, and we certainly didn't have the computing power to process those large data sets until today, but we do now. And if we think about AI, the real benefit is that we can take something really complex, like audio your speech, or video or photography. And it can create some really simple answers about what it's hearing or seeing. So in this case, your car now knows when you're talking to it, and it can interpret that. But don't get me wrong, these are pretty flashy technologies. But digital transformation trends extend beyond the latest buzz. And the truth is, we're all living in that reality right now. The possibility of remote work was true before COVID-19, but we're past possible now. And taken as a whole, the velocity, the variety, the volume of digital data, it's only increasing. And we've seen this massive shift around the consumerization of technology in our personal lives. And now we're definitely seeing that trend jump to expectations at work. Consider that in tandem with the rise of a digitally native workforce. And a reality starts to become clear. Work has changed forever. And honestly, this change is permanent and irreversible. Whether or not you choose to respond, the shift has already happened. So with all this innovation, a natural question is, what comes next? Why do we care? Well, at Unearth, we see a future where organizations are going to have complete visibility into their work, into their teams, into their assets, into their network. But beyond that, and we talk about things like reduced redundancy, but what we're really saying is technology is going to start to shoulder the burden of dealing with data storage, data sharing, data processing. And what that means is that your teams get to focus on more interesting work. You get to ignore the minutia and focus on what really matters. And that visibility and focusing on what matters is going to start to lead to instant decision making, which is really the ultimate benefit. You and your teams will move faster with confidence. And so all of this together is about freeing you and your people to do what you do best, focus on real challenges, and come up with creative solutions. And all of this sounds great, and perhaps you've heard it before, but there's a simple question that arises. Where do we start? And we believe you start by empowering work where it happens. It starts by committing to creating, managing, and processing digital data so that you can take advantage of all of the benefits that things like connectivity, computing power, and AI can deliver. It means empowering digital tooling with your teams, including those digital natives that are joining your workforce every day and demanding more and better consumer-centric tools. It means empowered digital tooling in the field, where all of your plans and best intentions meet real-world conditions. And it means expanding digital tooling back at the office, where speedy decision-making is paramount, but only within the bounds of what you can measure and monitor. If your goal isn't to empower work where it needs to happen, it should be. And if there's a single message to take here, it's that the digital revolution is here and the winners will stay ahead of the curve. This is your opportunity to reinvent an industry, and that's no small feat. But I'd also like to say you're not alone. It takes a village. We all have to work together to deliver an industry reinvented to be digitally transformed. And to that end, I'm excited to announce that as of today, Unearth is now integrated across the full suite of precision GPS products with Trimble. And it's these types of partnerships and integrations that is going to allow an industry to track and manage networks with greater precision than ever before. And we will be revealing more product information in the sessions to come, including at 10:50.